Let's say it again. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody.
We want to welcome you to this very, very special day. Our speaker this morning is a longtime friend.
We've had Dave here before. It was a great and wonderful experience. I know all of you who heard him then are celebrating being here this morning. If you are here to hear him for the first time, I congratulate you for making the decision. He is wonderful. He is our friend, and I celebrate him as being part of the light on this planet that we all celebrate. Everyone, put your hands and hearts together. Dave DeLuca.
God bless you. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, I have traveled a lot and I've spoken in a lot of places, and the real mark of spirituality in my mind is that love and gentleness of approach that is so embodied in Jay. He's just a little child. He's guileless. No, I mean, that's not, that's like somebody making something look easy, but that's work that has gone over a period of time to reduce in his personality anything that hides that lovely light that is what brings you here. So God bless J. Scott Neal and his lovely wife, Cynthia. I am so honored to be here, and I'm so honored to be a friend of Jay's. Jay is a senior within this incredible movement as a representative of the oldest living wisdom of oneness. It is always a joy to be with representatives of the newest wisdom of oneness. The Indians call it the Sanatana Dharma, the eternal way. There's no copyright India. They knew through the earliest intuitions the understanding and the truth of oneness. And it has weaved itself through the millennia, touching the Greeks and become Neoplatonics, touching Islam and becoming Sufi, touching the Europeans and becoming the Oriental Renaissance that Goethe and Hegel and Schlegel and Humboldt, among those for the very first time were able to read these Indian scriptures in their native language. And that's what created this Renaissance. Every civilization that has been touched by the ancient wisdom of India has had within it a powerful movement that expressed this idea of oneness in a new way. Isn't it ironic that new thought is based on the principles of the oldest living religion? The oldest living religion is the wisdom of oneness of the Vedanta. Vedanta is synonymous with the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita, primarily the Upanishads, but the Bhagavad Gita continues the Vedanta scriptures that have now become what is considered to be the Vedanta, although there's many scriptures other than that. But that's like the Old Testament and the New Testament of India. The Upanishads, everything has to find its orthodoxy within the Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita is this, it's the most beloved yoga book and oneness book in the world. It is the teachings of Krishna as opposed to the teachings of Christ. It's the New Testament of India, just like the New Testament of Christianity is the teachings of Christ. The New Testament of India is the teachings of Krishna. And one of the amazing things, and what I'd like to talk about today and also in the seminar, is how this lineage presented itself once again in American New Thought. The father of New Thought spirituality was Ralph Waldo Emerson. American New Thought spirituality. Ernest Holmes said it was like drinking water. Jay told me that they consider themselves to be Emersonian ministers. Emerson and I share a couple of things in that he was raised Unitarian and I was raised Unitarian. He turned into a Boston Brahmin. He had the largest Vedanta library. He loved Indian philosophy, and through his essays came the Vedanta. He was the first American Vedanta teacher. And my job and what I was called to do was bring this wisdom to the new wisdom of oneness so that they could understand their roots. Ernest Holmes loved the Gita with all his heart, and when asked one of the reasons why, is because his teacher loved it, Emerson. Don't take my word for it. This is what Emerson had to say about the Bhagavad Gita. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? I love that. By the way, it was not just Jay. There was so much sweetness in this room. And to me, that expression of love is what is the purpose of religion, is to express love. Everything else is just the helps that get us there. But love, as you will see, and I'm about to tell you, I'm about to share with you the oldest extant statement of oneness. Would you like to hear that? But first, let's hear what Emerson had to say. About the Bhagavad Gita, he said, it was the first of books. He said, it started, I owe another magnificent day to the Bhagavad Gita. It was the first of books. It was as if an empire spoke to us. Nothing small or unworthy, but large, serene, consistent. The voice of an old intelligence, which in another age and climate had pondered and thus disposed of the questions which exercise us. Let us cherish this venerable oracle. Emerson had a way with words, didn't he? Pondered and thus disposed of the questions which exercise us. What were those questions that have been exercising people for millennia? Number one, what is the nature of reality? Number two, what's our relationship with that reality? Number three, what's the purpose of it all? What are we doing on the planet? Are we on the planet just to have fun and to suffer? Fun, suffer, and everything in between? Is that all we're here to do? Or is there something deeper and more meaningful for us to do? And the Upanishads is the first revelations of the answers to this and why Emerson and the Transcendentalists drew from and nourished themselves from this. It's no coincidence, by the way, because the first English translation of the Gita was 1785. The first English translations of the Upanishads was 1799, and Emerson was born in 1803. He was among the first Americans as a teenager to be exposed through his aunt and through the Asiatic Society's dissembling of English translations of these masterpieces. And he became a student of Vedanta for life. So, let me start with, and now I'm going to ask you again, so get ready to participate. I know you do this really well, and that's why I'm going to do it. Would you like to hear the oldest extant affirmation of oneness that we know of? Yes! I love that. Thank you very much. Now, keep this in mind, that this is in the Rig Veda. The Rig Veda is not only the oldest spiritual book in the world, it's the oldest living book. There is no book older than the Rig Veda. Of course, it was an oral tradition for thousands of years before it became written down. But it's the oldest living book, let alone spiritual book. And so the person that wrote this, it's called the Creation Hymn. It could be 4,000 years old. It could be 6,000 years old. We just don't know how far back it goes in time. The person who wrote this did not have a Google to, search out oneness. They intuited through their whatever spiritual practices that under the seeming manifoldness of life was a unity. And so hold your heart. If you consider oneness sacred to you, this understanding of it, as I do, then join me in revering this passage that stands alone as the oldest living expression. So you can close your eyes however you want to do it. There was not then what is, nor what is not. There was no sky and no heaven beyond the sky. What power was there? Where? What was that power? Was there an abyss of fathomless waters? There was neither death nor immortality then. No signs were there of night or day. The One was breathing by its own infinite power in infinite peace. Only the One was. There was nothing beyond. Darkness was hidden in darkness. The All was fluid and formless. There and in the void, by the fire of fervor, arose the One. And in the One arose love. Love, the first seed of the soul. The truth of this the sages found in their hearts. Seeking in their hearts with wisdom, the sages found the bond of union between being and non-being. Not only did it say completely clearly that there was nothing beyond, that oneness isn't monotheism, that oneness is everything is a manifestation of this one. There is nothing that is not a manifestation of this one. But what did it say the first seed of it is? The highest expression in our lives of this oneness is love. It's exactly what you guys were singing about. The highest expression, the closest we'll get on the physical plane to that oneness is in love, in selfless love. And where did they find this truth, according to the creation hymn? In their hearts. You see the seeds of what New Thought spirituality is based on. The idea of oneness, the idea of the divinity of the soul, the idea that the truth of the core of our being is the divinity. Call it God, call it Atman, call it the divinity, but the truth of who we are is the divinity. Do you love that, or is it just me? It's both of us, huh? Now, I'm going to be speaking from two books now and in the seminar. Pathways to Joy is the writings of Vivekananda. He was the star of the Parliament of Religions in 1893. He was the first yoga master. He is the father of American yoga. And he is acclaimed and considered by tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions, of people in India to be the modern, perfect example of the selfless life and the power of the divine presence